I tried to rent and watch Gone with the Wind in current day climate and everything like that. I was, just like a lot of other people, appalled by the idea that they would ban such a historic piece of cinema because the characters in the film are essentially slave owners. And you can't erase history by pretending it didn't happen. I don't think we should edit those things out of our history. Um, the fact that the film was banned is dangerous to me because I feel as though if we ban the memory of the mistakes that were made in the past, they're going to repeat themselves. I mean, that's something that pretty much every historian has stated from the get-go. However, in rewatching the film, a new problem arose, especially once I learned a little bit more about the actors and how there was a difference on set on how they were treated, and how Hattie McDaniel was an Academy Award winning actress, but wasn't allowed on the stage to collect her award because she was a black woman. And I'm like, okay, well, see, that's where the problem lies. It's not that we want to erase the history of what happened or the way things were perceived back then. We should look at it through a dispassionate lens and see it for what it is. But let's not pretend that what happened to Hattie McDaniel didn't stem from the same energy that the movie communicated, which was, the good old days when we didn't have to pay our workers and we could use slaves for free labor, which is an incredibly beneficial thing for the plantation owners to have. So I can see why they felt that they were robbed by allowing these other humans their freedom. But it's parasitic in nature. And to recognize both sides of the coin, yes, Gone with the Wind should not be forgotten. And there's some beautiful cinematography in it. The costumes are amazing. Vivien Leigh is a brilliant actress. All the actors do a wonderful performance. But there was a blurb in the beginning of the film that was a little disturbing, where they said, it's something that can only be remembered. The beautiful days of the South was a dream remembered, but can now only be recalled in books. And I'm like, it wasn't a dream remembered for everyone. It was a nightmare for some, and we got to recognize that. We can't pretend that it was the glorious days of the South and quit your whining, people of color. Let's just forget all of the pain that you went through. But then we can't forget that it happened and say, yes, they actually did believe that black people were not human, and that was a problem too. We have to see it with a dispassionate lens. But the reason why I couldn't finish Gone with the Wind recently was because I was growing frustrated with the narrative that surrounded the character of Scarlett O'Hara. It seemed as though everyone in the comment section of the film that I was watching, who happened to be female and Caucasian, decided that Scarlett O'Hara was some sort of feminist icon. She physically assaults a black woman on camera. It does not compute how this is a feminist icon. She's abusive. Everything about the Scarlett O'Hara character is toxic. And if we can just establish that right away and not try to glamorize that, or the fact that she had slaves as something she had to do, which is something that a lot of white women are actually justifying in the comment section of this film, we got to establish that no, Scarlett is not something to aspire to. Scarlett was not, look, you can love Vivien Leigh and say she was beautiful, but remember, she's playing a character. She's She's playing a character that spent majority of her life pursuing another woman's husband, and delivered this woman's baby. Melanie had a baby that Scarlett O'Hara delivered. You'd say, okay, well, maybe Scarlett O'Hara did the right thing. No. Immediately after the child is born and the child's father returns home, Scarlett corners him and says, hey, ditch the kid and ditch Melanie, ditch your wife, because her vagina doesn't work as well as mine does. I can still give you another kid. She's done with having kids. So just be a deadbeat dad, abandon your child, let your kid wither away in this wasteland, this post-war wasteland, and run away with me and buy me pretty things. That's what Scarlett wanted after delivering this man's baby. That's diabolical. Okay? That's diabolical. And if anybody wants to see Scarlett O'Hara as iconic, or she's just a woman who did what she had to do, she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to fucking abandon her family just to chase after a married man and weasel her way into that family, his family, the Wilkes family, weasel her way in by deceiving his wife into thinking that Scarlett was her best friend. That's garbage, and that's what a garbage human being does. Scarlett O'Hara is a garbage human being, and her slapping a woman of color on camera only solidifies that. And everybody's like, well, Prissy deserved to get slapped because she said she knew how to deliver a baby and she didn't. Why would you listen to anyone who was born in slavery? Do you really think Prissy is a sane person? Let me ask you something. Do you really think if you were born to be an object, to be a domestic appliance, that you would tell the truth? That you would be an upstanding, contributing member to society and do the right thing by your masters? No, you're going to be a pathological liar. I'm surprised that Prissy doesn't poison the baby in its sleep. Like, she is going to be a maniac who was born in slavery and it drove her fucking crazy. Why would you trust anything that came out of her mouth? That's like, it boggles my mind how people in the comments section of the Gone with the Wind film on YouTube are saying that Prissy deserved to be assaulted because she lied to her owner. I wouldn't eat a single bit of food that was prepared to me by somebody I was oppressing. Because if they slip in some antifreeze, would you be surprised? What loyalty does Prissy owe Scarlett O'Hara, who's, by the way, delivering a baby that she hates just to get in the pants of the baby daddy? What loyalty does Prissy owe? If any of those slaves turned out to be homicidal maniacs, would you be surprised? I'm not saying that it's justified, but why do you think a black slave owes you, white woman, any loyalty? That's where the Mammy character kind of falls apart to me, because Mammy was a strong character who would try to raise Scarlett well, but Scarlett always had the upper hand. So Mammy never had authority over Scarlett. When Scarlett was being a pathological liar because she was a lying, conniving little piece of shit, do you think Mammy could actually discipline her for real? Or if Scarlett decided to punish Mammy by telling Mom, Mammy was disrespectful, she needs to get the whip. Mammy could get whipped. There's a power dynamic there that everybody seems to ignore. And they're like, oh, the relationship between Scarlett and Mammy is so beautiful. No, it's not. No, it's not. Mammy was a good person who had no freedom and no power. She was an object. Let that sink in. She was kind to Scarlett because she saw Scarlett grow up as a little kid. And she watched Scarlett get corrupted by being spoiled and emotionally neglected. Because Scarlett's distant mom didn't look like anybody who would kiss boo-boos or chase away the monsters under her bed. So When you take a child and you emotionally neglect them, but you shower them with praise, gifts, fineries, and money, you are creating a narcissist right there. Scarlett O'Hara was a narcissist. Now, Rhett Butler, everybody goes, well, he was bad. How is he bad? How is Rhett Butler bad? He used to say he was bad. He used to say up and down that him and Scarlett were two peas in a pod. But yet, he's the one who sacrificed his own life to go fight in an army that he didn't even agree with because he felt like he wasn't being good to his fellow countrymen. Scarlett never did a selfless thing like that. Scarlett wanted a man to abandon his 2-year-old baby and wife after a war when they would have no help of survival. But Scarlett didn't care. And then she went to Rhett Butler whenever she needed cash. She never actually recognized that Rhett might love her after she recognized that it wasn't going to work out with Ashley. This is so dumb. The thing that gets my goat with all of this is that you got these fucking idiot women in modern TikTok days, this yes queen slay feminists who basically want to use every excuse to be as disgusting as possible and somehow mental gymnastics bend it in a way to make it iconic. Yes, Queen Slay. You made a dress out of draperies just to go fucking pimp yourself out to a rich dude because you needed $300. Bitch, please. Scarlett O'Hara is trash. I can enjoy all of it. I can enjoy the movie. I can enjoy the acting. I can enjoy all of it. Just so long as we don't try to frame it like Scarlett was some kind of decent human being when she wasn't. She wasn't, okay? The only time I ever saw her feel bad for anyone was like probably when her mom died and she screamed, "Oh no, my mom's died." But you know what? She wasn't crying because her mom died. She was crying because her mom couldn't comfort her. Mommy, you can't make me feel better anymore. Scarlett O'Hara is an exploitive bitch and a piece of garbage. As long as we can acknowledge that, I can enjoy the movie. And no, Prissy didn't deserve to get slapped because she lied. Prissy needed a mental institution, okay? You tried being born as like a puppy, taken away from your mom and sold to wipe somebody's asshole. Like, you really don't think she's going to grow up to be psychotic? Prissy needed mental help, okay? Prissy's a dangerous person. Prissy, I honestly think that when she was dilly-dallying outside, singing to herself as the baby was born, that was called passive-aggressive compliance. Your slave master wants you to run, so what are you going to do? La, 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 la. You're going to take the only piece of power that is warranted you by being lazy and not doing the thing that they need, because she knew that Scarlett was in a bind, and she knew why Scarlett was there. She knew Scarlett didn't give any shits about Melanie or the baby. Prissy worked with Mammy, and Mammy had Scarlett's number. You don't think the slaves don't talk? Prissy hated Scarlett. If Scarlett dropped dead, Prissy probably would have taken a piss on the grave. And more power to her, because Scarlett was a fucking tyrant. Scarlett the harlot, okay? Scarlett the harlot.